The question is Daredevil Born Again going to be any good?
No.
I'm gonna oppose you there and say maybe. Because there's been some news, some reports, some articles, some interviews coming out from Vincent D'Onofrio. It did kind of pique my interest.
Oh yeah?
It said to me, you have a chance. It said to me, potentially I might change my mind. It said to me, you give me a little bit of hope. There's embers of something great there. But there's not a lot. So you better make it work. Because if you don't, in that show, with those characters, it might just be the end of the road. Or, as in MCU terms, the end game. We've got to do fact of the day. Page number 245, fact number
3.
Most bees buzz in the key of A, unless they are tired. And that's when they buzz in the key of E.
Who had the time to search this out and figure out that data?
Charlie Puth.
You're correct.
Hey, NarendraTheComic, and
No,
yes, right now we're going to be quickly talking about the MCU being actually officially tied to the Marvel Netflix shows. It's never been confirmed. Up till this week, it was always no, it's not. Yes, it is. No, it's not. Yes, it is. Maybe. I just don't know. And then Kevin Feige coming down and saying, I'm not going to answer that question, but the answer's probably no. So, at the end of the day, it'd always been kind of the bastard child. Even though most fans wanted it, they didn't want to accept it into the main continuity. But now, because of how bad the MCU's got, they've actually retroactively stuffed it back into the MCU. And now they're saying that it's part of the official sacred timeline.
See, that does cause problem though, because when you think about Vincent D'Onofrio's portrayal of Wilson Fisk in Hawkeye, that makes no sense if we're going to now see him as that scary, scary version we saw him in Daredevil.
You have to think, everyone goes through blips. And maybe the blip affected the way he was because of all the shit that happened. And then when Maya shot him in the face, it was, I have to go back to a little bit of my roots here. I've been played about. I've been messed about. I need to get back to being the boy or the man.
So here's the thing. In the new Daredevil show then, are we going to be seeing the man? When you consider what happened at the end of Echo.
He also talked about that in this specific interview. He said that the thing that Maya did to him at the end of the show, spoiler alert, didn't really change him in his view. He said it may have enlightened him.
Huh.
I didn't really understand what he meant by that, but that's what he said. He also said this, and that was the fact that essentially when the big writing strike happened last year and the acting strike, all production got stopped. And Daredevil was looking like an absolute mess. Supposedly they'd shot like 5 or 6 episodes and there was no Daredevil in it. None of the characters were really working together. There wasn't much chemistry. Now these are all rumors, so we don't know. But Vincent D'Onofrio essentially just came out today and confirmed all those things were true. Because he just said that when all that was going on, they actually took a step back and creatively, from all the people involved higher up, and even supposedly Charlie Cox and Vincent D'Onofrio, came together and said, we need to actually make this a confirmed continuation of the story from Daredevil seasons 1, 2, and 3. We can't have it be here and there. It needs to be definite and certain. And that tells me that they literally, Marvel, Disney, had no idea what they were doing from the start with this show, and from the start of Phase 4, to be honest. And we knew that for years, but I thought Daredevil might be that thing where they actually had some through line and consistency, but they didn't. And now they've gone back and rewritten the whole show. They're gonna have to reshoot the whole show, and they're bringing back characters from the original show, aka Foggy and Karen, who were supposedly written out of the show, killed off screen in episode 1, and now they're gonna be main players in the season.
That, I think, is definitely the right move. Because when you look at those MCU shows that were on Netflix, people loved those shows. This was years and years ago, and for so long it was, I want this to be part of it. I want it to be in the main continuity. I want to see these street-level characters actually interplaying within the context of the whole MCU and the sacred timeline. But now this kind of poses the question with some of the faces that we've seen before. When you think about Luke Cage, Cottonmouth was played by Mahershala Ali,
Yep.
and he's now playing Blade.
We haven't seen Blade in the MCU technically, and there's been a lot of production problems with that as well, with that being rewritten like 4 times as of yet. Maybe it'll get rewritten 6 times. But as well as that, there was Cottonmouth's cousin in Luke Cage, and that actress also played someone in Captain America Civil War. So it is a little bit here and there. We're not exactly sure where we stand with this. I feel like maybe if it's an animated role, you can maybe play 2 in the same universe. So you can play 1 animated, 1 live action, but it's kind of a bit fiddly if you're playing this type of game. I always thought the best way to do it would be saying something along the lines of, yes, the Netflix stuff is canon because the Netflix stuff is multiversal. So maybe the stories that happen in Daredevil might be sacred timeline, but the stuff that happened in Iron Fist might not. So you can get around saying this character is central to the universe as a whole, maybe if you wanted to. I don't really love it, but you could have got around it by doing that. That way you could keep a lot of those stories and characters and motivations from those shows without ripping it all out, but still not having to say none of it is part of it.
See, that's a good move, but they haven't done that.
No.
See, that's them not thinking.
They're thinking a lot. I think they're thinking too much. They're overthinking. No one likes an overthinker. It's kind of neurotic.
It is. That's exactly the word for it.
And you don't want to be doing that because you're just going to eat your own mind. And I feel like Marvel have been eating my mind with this type of stupid shit they've been putting out for the last 4 years.
Yes. However, with this news, I will say I might have to change my answer from no to a maybe.
Going to a maybe. Look at that.
There is some hope yet when you think about the way that season 3 of Daredevil ended. And especially when you consider now Wilson Fisk going to be going for mayor of New York.
Yeah.
Suddenly, this can actually become a bit of a blaze.
Are we going to get Bullseye? He seemed to be alive. He seemed to be having some work done on himself at the end of season 3 in that post-credit scene. Are we going to get an answer to that? One final thing that came out of this interview was Vincent D'Onofrio said he hadn't actually watched Echo.
Oh.
My guy, we put ourselves through that absolute jargon for 3 hours. You should put yourself through it too, okay? Maybe he knows that it's not very good and that's why he doesn't want to watch it. Maybe he's one of those actors who don't like seeing himself on screen, which is valid, but it is only 3 hours. It's not a 22 episode show. 22 hours. You can do 3. You can watch 3. Watch it. Be able to figure out exactly what went wrong. And then say, it could have been better. Because honesty is the best policy.